Yo, Peon, why are we in IKEA?
Well, AV, I know how much you love to introspect on your couches, and you've been a great co-host recently, man, and you deserve this.
Aw, that's really nice of you. I've been looking for a new introspection couch lately. Let's go try them out. I'm excited.
Yeah, man, are any of them catching your eye?
There's this nice corduroy black one over here. There's a nice brown one. Nice mahogany. Ooh, there's that one in the corner, the beige one. What about that one?
Did I hear you correctly? You said the beige one?
Yeah, the beige one. Yeah.
Because I work
What's
44 hours a week, and now you're telling me you want the beige one?
what's funny about the beige?
AV, wake up, sleepyhead.
God. Wait, where? Yo,
It,
I just had the worst dream. It was so bad.
well, I'm just happy you're making good use of the new beige couch.
What? No!
Welcome, broadcasting to the entirety of the Super Smash Brothers community. This is Beyond the Metagame. I'm your host, Peon, this week live from the zoo. I'm joined, as always, my wonderful co-host, AV. AV, how's it going, big guy?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I'm over by the cheetah enclosure.
You know, you are very athletic. I can see why you're gravitating towards the cheetah.
I'm definitely a sprinter. I like
Are
that
you?
cheetahs are like burst carnivores. Like they just attack. They like spend all of their energy on like one precise like premeditated attack.
That is how you view yourself, AV, huh? As like a burst carnivore.
That's how my DK plays, dude. It's like it's like
I wish I could disagree, but it kind of does play like a cheetah. Now that I think about it, like as you put it, a burst carnivore. I don't think that's a real term, right? Did you make that up?
I absolutely made that up. I would tell you if that was a real thing, but it sounds cool, doesn't it? Like it, I feel like it should be a thing. Like
Yeah.
it's so
Do you,
cool.
do you know my favorite animal, AV? If we were to go to the zoo, where I would take you first? Do you know?
What about the birds of prey?
I do like birds of prey, but my favorite animal is the penguin. I like penguins. They're cute. I like them. Nothing else to say. They're just,
Okay,
that's how
that's
I
fair.
feel, and I'm not gonna have my mind changed about it. I'm set
You
in
like?
stone.
Do you like the penguin from Batman? Do you like dressing up in a tuxedo? Like,
Oh, as portrayed by Danny DeVito. Yes, yes, I do.
yes, that is the only and canonical version of the penguin. So, absolutely agree. Cannot disagree there.
How you been this week, man? How has Smash been for you?
Smash's been pretty low key, honestly. I took some time off from my local on Monday to go and spend time on N64 Josh's podcast, the Smash Bros. Cast. Did an episode with him about playing DK and then went over some current events and some stuff. It was a lot of fun. You should go
Shout
check
outs
that
to
out.
those boys, man. I know Nightcrawler wasn't there. One of the hosts of the Smash Bros. Cast. I love Nightcrawler. I love N64 Josh. Go check out their show if you guys don't listen to it. It was fun to watch you and to listen to you on that show though, AV. You represented us very well. I was very proud of you.
It was a lot of fun, honestly. Like I got to kind of go off with all of the DK information that I have stored in my brain. So if you are at all interested in learning about DK, and go check out like the last 20 minutes if you just want to hear about DK stuff. But if you just want to hear about a really cool episode, go check out the latest episode of that.
Yeah, man, I was crossing my fingers like, okay, AV, please do not go on like some sort of racist tirade, while representing the BTM banner. I would have been mortified.
You make this sound like I go on racist tirades like on a normal basis.
I mean, to be clear, I've never heard you go on a racist tirade, but if you ever were to, that certainly would have not been the time to do so.
That is correct. I mean, that could just happen right now. Like, what?
The beauty of this show, AV, is that it's not actually live.
That is true.
AV, I know. I did kind of cut you short. Was that all? Was that all for your week in Smash?
It more or less was. Just kind of played online a bit. I finally set up my stream, so I'll be streaming some battles with the community. I'm excited. Man. Yeah, I'm excited to get that started. That'll be kind of cool. But other than that, that's gonna be it. How about you, man?
Oh, it's been great, man. I had a crazy local last Sunday. I had a lot of fun. I won a local since our last show. Playing all Inkling. Played a little bit of Pokemon Trainer actually. It's not all Inkling. Having a lot of fun, man. Having a lot of fun. Nothing too crazy. Honestly, no like life-changing event. No real new progress outside of just like general improvement. You know, I feel like every week I'm still getting more and more comfortable. I mean, this game is so young. I think we kind of forget this game isn't even 6 months old yet. It's not even 5 months old yet. So it's like, you know, it's still maturing. I'm still not quite like 100% there yet, I think, with my comfort in the game. But I'm still having a lot of fun and still getting some tournament W's. So hey, can't complain.
Yeah, I feel like the stuff that felt good at the beginning of the game still feels just as good. Like for me, like landing down B to up smash still feels really good. I'm sure like landing the booyah is probably still like this nice rush of dopamine every time you get it.
Yes. Even every time I land a roller in tournament, it's it's like finding a little like $20 bill on the ground. It's like, yes. Except you don't have to like look for the owner for an awkward 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, your opponent does get to look at you from the ground for an awkward 5 seconds. So that's how long you're stuck in the ground. That's awful.
That was a good one. Yeah, man. And just do a little bit of housekeeping. But before so, we got some new countries. It's been a while, AV, but we got 2 cool ones. 2 island countries, I'll say. I don't know I don't know what that says about this last week in the world of Smash Bros. Podcasts, but we got both Jamaica and Cyprus.
Yeah, so Jamaica is a new one to me, but I'm almost certain that we've talked about Cyprus on this show before.
You know what? Either way, we got them. So
yeah, I want it, I got it.
wait. What's that from? Is that a
Ariana
Childish
Grande?
Gambino? Oh
No.
I was way off.
No, yeah, but anyway, shout outs to Cyprus for the second time.
Yes, the
Please
boys.
Keep it coming. But yes, we got Jamaica, which is pretty awesome.
Hell yeah,
yeah.
I've never been to Jamaica. Cool. I heard they have a fantastic cannabis.
Yeah, that is a notable thing from that country. It seems like it seems very culturally relevant. But yes, I'm sure they have a lot of nice music. I'm pretty sure the steel drums probably originated from Jamaica. It's just so prevalent in their music, and I know it's kind of caricatured in a lot of music in the US, but steel drums when used correctly are incredible. I love them.
Yeah, dude, for sure. As a drummer, I think your opinion holds extra weight. And last bit of housekeeping, I do want to remind you guys that BTM has launched our Patreon. With it, we've launched any patron gets access to our second podcast. It's a monthly show. It's called Beyond the Metagame. We talk about everything but Smash, and the patrons themselves get to suggest topics, talking points, games for us to play. And we actually recorded our first episode. It should be out any day here. We're just kind of finishing up some details. And yeah, if you want to check that out, of course, take a look at our Patreon. And yeah, I mean, that's all I got this week for housekeeping. AV, this week, we're talking about traveling. We're talking about going to other regions and, competing with aliens, with foreigners, for people for the first time, the differences between regions and what it's like going to different regions. I mean, do you want to introduce the topic a little bit before we get to the episode proper?
Sure thing. Some of the major things that I want to get into on this episode are what you can get from visiting other regions, the importance of playing new people, playing new play styles, experiencing new things, and kind of a follow-up from our previous episode is getting out of your comfort zone. So just experiencing new things in general, and like, is it useful? What you can take from it, and we'll kind of get into the specific subcultures of different regions. So that'll be kind of cool.
Well, all that and more in just 1 second. Welcome back to Beyond the Metagame. This week, AV and I are here to talk about traveling. Getting out of your region, getting out of your comfort zone, and playing against foreign competitors. AV, I guess we'll start it off. I mean, do you travel a lot? I mean, do you play out of region?
Historically, no. Historically, this would probably be one of my biggest flaws as a player. I've always stayed very close to home, whether or not it was in Santa Barbara or up here in NorCal. I have not strayed too far from the beaten path. In Santa Barbara, I kind of went to all the tournaments that I ran, and here I only really go to one local because it's convenient and it's next to my work. Most of my other time playing the game is like playing people on the Discord, and that's pretty much it. So, but I did finally get the experience of traveling to play the game and going to a major in Genesis 6, and that was super eye-opening for me, honestly. However, I know that you have traveled a decent amount, so I kind of want to hear your perspective on this.
Yeah, man, you're kind of a homebody. You like to guard the nest. Your mama duck. Is that fair to say?
More or less, I guess, yeah.
I definitely, well, it's hard to say. I mean, I suppose it's all relative, but I certainly do play against a lot of different people. So I've traveled, while in university, I attended university in Santa Barbara, California, which is, in the central coast of California, kind of closer to SoCal proper. And when I was back home with the parents during holidays and summer and stuff like that, I would be up in Sacramento, which is up in NorCal, and so I kind of got to play in a lot of different regions, and I've kind of played all over the state of California: Central California, Southern California, Northern California, Central Coast. I've kind of played in every single part of California, more or less. And California is a pretty big place. I mean, I was speaking of traveling, I was doing some math the other day, and apparently you can fit like 20 of the Netherlands in California alone.
That's hilarious.
So it does dwarf a lot of like European countries.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, I definitely do get around, but I wouldn't say I don't like travel across the country for majors. I just go to the majors that are only like five hours away from me or less. I would say by car.
That's fair.
But I will say this: every time I have gone out of region and played against unfamiliar opponents, it's been some of the most like fun, eye-opening Smash I've ever played. And I kind of want to talk about that concept. I mean, what do you think of the merits of traveling for Smash, or at least playing people that you normally don't play in an unfamiliar locale?
Yeah, I mean, I know we've talked about kind of experiencing playing new players and new play styles, but something that I find particularly interesting is experiencing new cultures in different Smash scenes. Now, I don't want to go into this and kind of like create an analog between Smash subcultures and like actual world cultures, because I don't know if it goes that deep, but it is kind of cool because especially seeing this drastic change coming up from Santa Barbara to NorCal. I observe the difference in how competitive people are. I observe the difference in the way that people interact with each other. Like it feels like the environment feels completely different. It feels more meritocratic. Like if you like playing with a top player is like feels really really out of reach sometimes. I mean, you have to like kind of network a lot, and I think that comes from playing in a big region, which is cool. I don't think it's either bad or good. I just think it's different. So my brain is like being rewired. My brain is thinking differently. So so this I guess would more apply to just completely moving to different regions, but kind of getting a taste of this, getting a taste of NorCal is cool because because we get to play new people, see new personalities, see how people interact with each other, and just overall get to rewire our brain.
Yeah, that's kind of the funny thing is like you started to paint the picture that like there was a similar difference between cultural differences between actual regions like on Earth, and the cultural differences between the Smash communities of those different regions on Earth, right? So like, culturally, for instance, let's say there's probably some differences between Germany and the United States. Well, certainly there's some differences, and also certainly there's got to be some differences in Smash community culture between those two areas, in terms of what going to tournaments like there, what the player mentality is like there, and I don't think it's always like a 1-to-1. You know what I mean? I think that, for instance, the East Coast of the United States versus the West Coast of the United States, a lot of different cultural behavior, a lot of different qualities that people in the Northeast have, such as bluntness and kind of a fast-paced lifestyle, are definitely not seen as much in California. People are more laid back, more chill, a little bit more groovy. Can I say that word? Groovy?
Sure, man. Yeah.
And, I definitely don't know if that's also representative of like the differences in Smash culture between the two areas. I don't think that like Californians play the game in a more laid back way than like their New York Smash counterparts. But I guess that's something to investigate. Like, I wonder if there is any truth to that.
I don't know if there's any like direct truth to like culture, to like out of game culture bleeding directly into in game culture, and that would probably be worthy of some sort of research paper if it was. Yeah. But something that I do notice is that I'll go to a certain region and I'll start getting punished for something that I've never been punished for before, or I'll start seeing like sides of the game or seeing certain things pushed to extremes that I've never seen before. For example, I noticed that when I came up to NorCal, I mean the skill level is generally higher than in most places, but I found that people's punish game was wild here. Like people go really hard for punishes. People are often optimizing their punishes, but the thing is, I was getting away with stuff in neutral more. So there was this kind of like tug of war. This actually like style that has been like born from like a certain region, and I don't know whether it kind of feeds off of each other. Like when you play a bunch of people who are the same, like you just suddenly like morph into that, and you suddenly become that. And I think that's super cool because like growing your own style of Smash and like getting sucked in and like becoming molded to a new style of Smash is super cool. I love that idea.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like network genetics. It's like, if you move to a region, right, your offspring, like let's say like you're, I don't know, I'm a ginger. I am a ginger. That's not a hypothetical thing. But I moved to like, I moved to Korea, right? My kids, let's say I meet a wonderful Korean lady, right? And she's just fantastic. She loves, I don't know. What do I love? Popcorn. I don't know. I actually don't love popcorn. I couldn't think of a single thing that
Do you not like anything? Do you have no feeling?
I think if like the whole gingers don't have souls thing was ever proven, it was right there. I couldn't think of a single thing that I love.
You heard it.
Like,
you heard it first,
my
guys.
mind went to my girlfriend, but in this hypothetical scenario, my girlfriend, I had a Korean girlfriend, so I like my mind got stuck.
It's kind of adorable, actually. Like you're just like your world like completely disappeared. Like the fact, like because Courtney just went out of the picture, like suddenly everything just melted away, and you couldn't think of anything that you loved. In a way, that was probably the most romantic thing. So
wow. Well, let's say, okay, speaking of romantic, let's say I wine and dine this Korean lass. Is that a word? Is that politically correct? Lass? No, I don't think it is. This Korean lass, and then our offspring, our inevitable offspring, would it would reflect the area, it would reflect Korea, but it would also still kind of reflect my own individuality, my own ginger genetics, right? Unfortunately for that child, right? But then let's say a few generations passed, and slowly my lineage has kind of morphed with this community, the Korean community in this instance.
I'm pretty sure red hair is a recessive trait, so you would immediately get stamped out.
Let's say like my other intangibles, like I am more than just my hair color, AV, like whatever, but regardless,
that was your preface. You prefaced this saying like me as a ginger goes to Korea.
You know what, I'll take the fall for that. You're right. But the point is, if there is a point, that the longer that my lineage interacts with this community, the less and less it represents me, and the more and more it becomes part of another part of the whole.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I view Smashers in a way, where people go to a community and sure they represent themselves, but because there's kind of a local meta and you play against, everybody's playing against the same opponents, you all kind of become part of the whole beyond just being part of yourself. And the longer you're there, the more representative you are of the community that you participate in.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that's not only something that that takes place in life, but as we can describe and kind of bring to Smash, it takes place in our video game communities. It takes place in our hobby communities. It takes place in our workplace. So like we always have all of these like micro communities, these wonderful like groups that kind of form and bond around specific traits. And there's always this one centralizing aspect to it. And there's this group identity that's created because of it. And
for sure. And you see that like tangible in gameplay. Like one of the most common things I see is like every region has like some character that like everybody pockets for some reason. Like for my region, like there's a lot of wolves. For some reason, everybody thinks their Pokemon trainer is sick, myself included. It's like funny that like, there seems to be like trends and patterns within individual communities that aren't necessarily true of the greater Smash community at large. Like for you, AV, who's like the character in your scene?
I don't know. There's a lot of different characters. Sometimes get overwhelmed, but I do play against like a wildly large amount of foxes. Like there are a decent amount of foxes in NorCal. So foxes and DKs and DDDs. So like actually, yeah,
there's a lot of DDDs.
Like, there's like 3 DDDs here.
What? There's one for 4. Each D.
Yeah, exactly. There's actually you need to know the DDD matchup up here, which is funny. Like you actually cannot get away not knowing that matchup.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, and that's actually, I love that you brought into characters because I wanted to get into that. And sometimes you can get away not playing against any of your characters' bad matchups because you play in a region where no one likes playing your character's bad matchups. Alternatively, you could play in a region where everyone plays your character's hard counters, and you would have what you have wildly different results in both of these regions. And that's crazy, right? It's like it's like two different timelines. You could have been like a god in one region, and then you're just like a 1202 player in another region because like everyone's just playing your hard counters.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration.
Okay, it is absolutely an exaggeration because fundamentals are overall by far and away more important, as we've talked. But I just wanted to just for a point, yeah,
for sure.
It's like it's possible, yeah.
And who you play, funny enough, is very commonly influenced by the people around you. And I think if that isn't the case, maybe you should take a second and think, like, who is better than you in your region? Who will you have to be better than to be number one in a region, or to be PR'd in a region, or whatever your desired place in the rankings are, right? And if those people all play characters that you hate to match up against, well, maybe that should influence what character that you pick, and if you are very success oriented. And that's kind of a funny thing that we don't really think about, is like the people around you actually have a lot of control. And that's kind of like a funny, like if you play like an online game and you're not like geographically bound, like you play League of Legends or Overwatch or something. Yeah, you never have to think about this kind of thing, but we're in a really unique situation where the people who happen to live near us actually decide a lot of our fate potentially.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's a lot like I like to think of life as like many different circles. Like it's just a bunch of different circles. Like you have your family, which is one circle, and you have your really close friends, and then you have your you have your acquaintances and your
Korean lass.
Yes, which we still haven't figured out whether that's politically correct or not to say. So,
we might as well double down then.
Yeah, just double down on it. But yeah, I think you're fine there, honestly. But I think that this idea of this community, of like choosing this circle of your community, is you're choosing another part of yourself, right? You're choosing these people are going to not only you're going to have impact on them, and then they're going to have this compounded multiplicative like impact on you. And so you're not only like where you live not only decides like the impact that you could possibly have on someone else, but also pretty much decides your fate as a Smash Bros player, which is kind of, at least, is that too intense? Is that too like anime or too over the top?
Well, with us it usually is a little too much, AV, let's be honest. But I think I want to present an alternative perspective.
Go for it.
So I'm a guy, you know me, AV, like we were talking about. I have a girlfriend, and we've been dating since we were, before we were sophomores in high school. It was right after freshman year ended, right? So we were very young. We were high school sweethearts. And I bring this up because people so often, especially my friends that are girls, shouts to the ladies out there, always remark on, you and your girlfriend are so cute, Peon. I wish that I could have a relationship that I could cherish, and it's kind of a funny thing. It's like, it's so much easier to look outward and to be like, oh yeah, their relationship is really nice, or they have it great over there. But as someone who participates in the relationship with my girlfriend, we were great, but it's not perfect. I say stupid stuff, she says stupid stuff, she'll hit me with a right hook. I will no, she'll never punch me. That was I
was wondering where this was going, but yeah, do continue.
Just to clarify. But we're people. Yeah, at the end of the day, we're not perfect. And so when people say, "Oh, yeah, you guys have a great relationship," I'm like, yeah, a lot of people do, and no relationship's perfect, even after that is all said and done. And I see the same thing with regions, where people will say, my region's not very good, the players in my region don't take the game very seriously, the people in my region are very mean, and the culture is not too great. and the venue, our tournament sucks. We need a better venue. uh, no one streams the tournament, and no one can watch me, and we would grow a lot more if we had a consistent stream. And people take the time to point out the problems of their scene and the good qualities of other scenes without acknowledging that they could be the difference. They could be the one that makes their scene, that makes their tournament, that starts a tournament series, or that starts streaming their tournaments, or that takes the initiative to make their community a more friendly place to be. I think people don't take that direct kind of step a lot of the time, and they look outward at other communities. What do you think about all that, Avi? I know I've been talking a while.
I was wondering where you were going with that, and it was quite the ride. But I like where you ended up. I like where we're at. No, I like where you're at. I like where your head's at, because I personally think, as someone who always tries to like do what I can for the community and to put my stamp and my personality and my individuality into the community, there is so much that you can do. It's not a because it's so grassroots, it's not a place where you're completely locked out from participating. I mean, obviously there's if you have some tyrannical TO that just controls every single aspect of of every
Yeah,
of
I mean,
like
you could punch him in the teeth, though. Is what I'm saying. Like you could lead like a coalition against the TO and like rise up in arms.
I mean, yes, we won't actually punch them in the teeth, but
What's up with me
metaphorically,
and
maybe
punching today? I need to tone it down over here.
you need to chill out, dude. Like you are really just ready to throw hands right now. But
I don't know what's gotten over me, Avi. I used to. I mean, I know we got Jamaica, like one of the most peaceful countries in the world, as a new listener last week, and here I am advocating for all this violence.
I think you're jealous. I think you're. If I'm to do a bit of outrospection here, I'm like I think you're projecting your inner violence, and you're jealous of Jamaica's peace. Honestly, so
Yeah,
I think you need to tone it down a bit and introspect a bit. So
well,
while you're doing that, let me
you cooled me off, baby. Thank you.
well, let me just kind of answer that for a sec. But we need. I think we need to like consider the fact that not everyone will want to be that change. It's really hard sometimes to kind of put yourself out there and to be that change. You have to be like a certain type of person. It helps to be an extrovert. It helps to have experience in something that the scene doesn't have. But yes, like often people's scenes aren't as bad as they think they are. It basically sums up to the grass is always greener. And honestly, I've never been to a Smash community that I've said, okay, this is absolute trash. I never want to interact with these people again. There was no redeeming quality. There was always something that made me say, this region has either taught me something or give me this experience. And I've never come away saying that it was like completely not worth it.
Yeah, I love that, man. And we kind of have drifted towards, kind of drifted away from the topic of travel. We started this thing off talking about traveling, and now we've kind of brought it over to the home region, right? And I think it's
Right.
I'm kind of happy we did, because there's the whole like there's no place like home thing. It's like the whole, I know you haven't seen Lord of the Rings, but there's the classic dichotomy of Bilbo Baggins and Frodo Baggins, where Bilbo was a homebody. He never wanted to leave his home, and he ended up going on these crazy adventures against his will, where his nephew Frodo looked up to his uncle, and then always wanted to venture out. He always wanted to see the great wide world, because he was inspired. But the thing is, both are important. I think to get the most out of traveling, you have to appreciate home. And I think that, it's those people that you meet in your home region that you can carpool with, that you can travel with, that help make, the whole traveling experience better. I so often when I go to major tournaments, I see like vanfuls of people all from the same region come together. They're staying in the same hotel rooms. They're, cheering each other on in foreign territory. That's a huge one, where you and all your boys all your girls go to a tournament and you're just cheering each other on, and the entire rest of the venue is cheering their opponent on because it's like region versus region. You get that kind of home pride. And I think it's important to establish a network between the familiar and the unfamiliar.
Yeah, I love the I love the cheering as long as it's like mostly just cheering their own homie on and not just dogging their opponent. I kind of don't appreciate it when like regions start insulting their opponent and this.
Oh, dude, I think it's kind of hype, man. I think it's kind of hype. I would never boo up. I would never smack talk somebody I don't know.
Sure.
But when I was on stage in top 8 of the 2GG event in Smash 4, and I like got this really dumb finishing touch killless Cloud, and like all of SoCal was chanting, "He got lucky, he got lucky," and it was so loud and it got me so juiced. Like it was kind of a hostile environment, but it was so fun.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of hype.
But I think you're a player that benefits from that. So this is another thing to talk about is like there's players that benefit and get like juiced from getting like from getting rooted against and from just the energy in general. Like I feel like you're someone who builds off of energy. It doesn't matter whether it's like positive or negative energy. You just kind of go with it and you go with the flow. Whereas some players just kind of get interrupted by any energy. They're like kind of one frequency the entire way. So they like having everything like peaceful, everything just as like in their own environment, no disruptions. And I think that there's that this is probably one of the biggest things when you get out of your comfort zone is that if you're in a region that doesn't have any cheering or any like obnoxious like rooting or just like experiences like that, like you had on stage, you're in for kind of a shock when you go to like a major or a region that does have like pretty loud people.
Yeah, that's actually a great point, AV, is like that when you travel, let's say when you go from one local to the next, you know, maybe you usually go to your local, it's 20 minutes away from your house. Well, how about you go to the one in the next town over? That's an hour and a half away. Or an hour away that you can drive to, and you know you play against a completely different group of people. And that kind of unfamiliarity, that kind of outside your comfort zone, will also prep you for majors where you're playing a potentially even more hostile, even more unfamiliar situations. You know, like playing in unfamiliar territory is a crazy challenge, and I think this is relative. This even scales back to people that are still tentative about going to tournaments. You know. The people that only play on their setup in front of their screen and their couch, right alongside their woman and their ice cold beer, and they're as comfortable as can be. But then they go play in tournament, and suddenly they're out of their mojo. They don't have the feng shui. Their women's nowhere to be seen. Their beer is warm, right? And suddenly they go 0-2. And I think it's kind of like important to challenge yourself in this way, especially if you intend on making an even more impactful, dramatic leap, like when going to a major.
Look, man, I don't care what it is. I don't care what new experience I'm having. I'm not showing up to places with warm beer. Like, can we get that out of the way? Like, it's not happening.
Maybe I think I've definitely drank in a warm beer with you.
Look, man, I do a lot for friendship.
yeah. I'll say it was me who provided the warm beer. Definitely not you.
Yeah, I will not.
I don't think you'd serve a warm beer to like your worst enemy.
No, I wouldn't. I absolutely wouldn't. I'd prefer to just not serve beer at all, and I would be sad about it. But I would be like, it's not. If you're gonna do something, you do it right. But sometimes,
let's say the Queen shows up at your place, and she's like, "Oh, AV, I sure would fancy a brew," and you're like, "Oh, Your Highness, that'll be just one moment," and you walk over to your fridge. You look behind the mustard. You look behind the what do you eat? Curry, the rice, and no beer. And then you check in your pantry. Oh, there's a brew. Do you give it to the poor queen who so desperately wants to quench her thirst?
I give her some water. I'd tell her I'm a man of principle when it comes to beer, and I will not serve you a warm beer. And I think she would absolutely accept that answer.
All right. Hey,
I'm
I'm
not
with
even
you,
kidding.
actually.
I am not kidding. By
No,
the way, I would.
that's
This is legit. Like it doesn't matter who it is. I'm not. I wouldn't do that to him.
I for the record, I think that's the right call. Well done.
It's like the same thing with a warm Moscow Mule. In fact, which is worse. A warm Moscow Mule is worse than a warm beer. By the way.
Okay. Here's the thing about a warm Moscow Mule. Who goes to the effort to make a Moscow Mule and doesn't put ice cubes in it?
Look, there's been some bad college parties, dude. There's you don't
Yes. Look, man, if you've never had to solve the problem of like when you get the keg the morning of the party and you're trying to like figure out how to keep it cool for 12 hours, it's kind of a hard problem, man. Like if you want to have 6 college students use their supposed intelligence, have them solve that problem. It's hard.
Yeah, how many college students does it take to solve to solve the keg problem? I don't know.
Yes, it's like a light bulb parody. Is that what you're doing?
Exactly. Yeah.
Not your brightest idea, AV.
Woo! All right, then. In any case, speaking of bright ideas, I want to talk about region competitiveness.
Okay.
One of the like drastic differences between regions is how competitive they are, and as you have experienced from like witnessing the disparity between your wonderful home of Santa Barbara and SoCal, I have experienced a similar disparate change in environment, which is from Santa Barbara to NorCal. And
right.
and the thing is that is this a good thing? Like what are the pros and cons of being in a more competitive region? And
Right.
I think it's something really cool to talk about because there's the obvious pros, right? I get better a lot quicker. It sucks that that you can't improve as much with your homies like back at home, but you make new friends, you make new homies, and it's just like you get better a lot quicker when you're playing different, like so many people, and you're playing like generally a higher caliber of player. That much, is that fair? Is that fair to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. Sure.
Yeah. So the thing is that given that, are there any bad parts to playing in a more competitive region? And sometimes there are. I think generally, as you witness any community grow and any community become kind of a more competitive environment, you lose the initial like beautiful wholesomeness that was probably there at the very beginning. Because at the very beginning, when there's no expectations, everyone feels like they're no one. Everyone's really nice to each other. There's no reason to form factions. There's no reason to form groups. There's no obvious order, or there's no obvious system of ranking people. So people are automatically humbled. But when you remove that and you have this massive region with a very clear order of like the top 20 players and then players who like beat the top 20 players, and everyone's like fighting drastically for this spot, like, and it's a huge thing, can like there will inevitably be negative experiences associated with that.
Yeah, I mean, you wrote it down, so I'm going to steal it from you. It's big fish in a small pond syndrome. It's like some people, there's good things and bad things about this situation where maybe your region isn't all that strong relative to Smash regions in general. And this doesn't just, this isn't just about physical regions. This might also be your group of friends. This might also be your Wi-Fi community that you play with. Perhaps it's the BTM Discord, and then you play with certain people in there. Maybe, just maybe, you're the best player in that group, or one of the more competent players in that group, and as a result, you feel very empowered and you feel like very good about yourself, and that's genuinely a good thing. I mean, playing the game and feeling proud and feeling cool, that's awesome. I mean, that's a pro, right? But then if you do travel and you do play other places, and turns out you were just a big fish in a small pond and you're not that good relative to the scene at whole, you're kind of vulnerable for a rude awakening and a rude lesson in humility. Um, whereas in the inverse, you might be a fantastic player relative to the Smash community as a whole, but maybe you play in a super stacked region where there's like 5 or 6 players that go to each local who have been playing Smash since like N64 days in tournament. They're these crazy veterans. Their beers never get cold. Their women never leave their side, right? They're these macho alpha people, right? And I don't know why I keep going back to that. And so you never have a chance to succeed in that community relative to them because you're surrounded by so many amazing players, right? But then when you travel, you go to a worse place than your home region. Suddenly they're like, "Oh, are you TSM 0?" Like, wow. Wait, he's not TSM anymore, is he? He's Tempo Storm.
Tempo
Storm 0. Are you MK Leo? Like, how are you so good at this game? And then you get to be that big fish in a small pond, but you have to travel for it. So there's definitely pros and cons. I mean, I think it's something to consider and to evaluate, to self-reflect on.
I absolutely agree. There's pros and cons to both sides. And by the way, Tempo Storm can theoretically be abbreviated as TSM. So
like Tempo Storm.
It's like the TS and then the M at the end. So
done, Abhi. Thank you. That's why. Hey, that's what friends are for, baby.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always here for you. But I think that there's actually that neither one is particularly better. Theoretically, you would want to be like I don't want to like kind of reiterate what you said because I think you summed this up pretty well. But overall, I think that being a good player is cool because then when you travel, you are validated for the effort that you put into the game and for the people that you play with. Although, if you're not receiving consistent validation from this, in my opinion, the hobby will slowly burn you out. There's a wonderful this is a wonderful moderation of validation that you want to get. You want to get like a slow trickle of validation from all of your hobbies. You don't want to go in bursts. You don't want to go you don't want to go with like random droughts where you're not feeling happy about it. You want to have a situation where you can slowly reap validation from your hobby. Now, whether that is kind of be like having the room to grow in a community, whether that is having the room to TO or to provide content or to like stream, it's all about finding things that do make you happy. Because I mean, you're not going to take your tournament results, you're not going to take your smash skill with you when you die. Like it's all about your experiences.
Look, I don't know what heaven is, but hell just might be playing quick play. So,
yeah, dude, it's for fun, for fun,
for fun. But like, yeah, like the yes. I'm just thinking like when it comes to this incremental validation you're talking about, it very much reminds me of like traditional Tetris versus Tetris 99. Abhi, you've played both, I assume, right? Have you played Tetris 99 at all?
I've watched Tetris 99, but I have played a lot of Tetris on the Game Boy when I was younger.
Then you know what I'm talking about. Tetris 99, for those who don't know, it's like that battle royale Tetris game that Nintendo released free for all Nintendo Online people. And basically, it starts off, and the beauty of Tetris originally, the reason it's like a master class in video gaming, and just gaming in general, is that you start it off, and as you improve, the game gets more difficult at like a very gradual pace, and it only gets as hard as you prove you're capable of handling. It scales up as you progress, and it's beautiful. You're always challenged, but you're never overwhelmed until the very end. It's like this incremental, wonderful dopamine drip feed. Whereas Tetris 99, You just start the game off, and all of a sudden it just like, and you're just getting there's like T blocks just falling on top of your head. What's happening? And it just kind of ends. There's no gradual buildup. It just kind of it starts off at 50 and then it goes up to 100, but there's no other middle ground. And I hate it. I'm like, this sucks. This is exactly what I don't care. But I'm gonna say this. I hate Tetris 99. I don't like how I randomly get hit with unpredictable difficulty. And unfortunately, that's kind of what Smash tournaments are like in many ways. You go to a tournament, you don't know. Maybe it's the first time you go to this tournament, and you don't really know. Maybe there's some straight killers there that are going to decimate you, and it's hard to track your own individual progress as a player if you can't know for sure exactly how good the opponents that you are, playing against are, right? And it could be kind of upsetting. But one of the only true ways to really understand how you're improving and how you're getting those implemental upgrades is if you do travel around and play with different people, or if you join different online discords, or if you play with different friend groups. That's really the only way to do it. And then hopefully, you can come back like Prometheus with the flame and bring back the new knowledge learned to your old training partners and say, hey, this is what I have for you. This is the information that's going to make us all better. And it's kind of this beautiful thing.
Yeah, I mean, I loved everything about what you just described, from bringing Tetris into this and explaining the dopamine drip feed with the dopamine, like slamming the dopamine textbook over your head. I don't know why I use that analogy.
Dopamine textbook.
I just thought of like a massive thing to hit someone over with the head, and I thought of a textbook.
Hey, did your teachers practice like grotesque corporal punishment in elementary
Am I that
school?
much of a nerd? Like,
yeah, I think so. Or maybe, AV, all that talk from my red room last week has really brought out your kinky side.
So one thing that I really liked that you talked about was this idea of bringing knowledge back to your friends.
The Prometheus principle.
The Prometheus principle. Yes, I love that. And it's really cool because there's so many things in this game that extend to sharing information with your friends and growing as a community and growing as a group. And overall, that is how you improve. It's volume. I mean, we can go back to it every time. I mean, I feel like there's like a fourth law of thermodynamics associated with Smash that's just like every like conversation just goes back to play more. Like, just play more. There's nothing, you have this more volume, more games equals, and more at least studied games and more actively trying to improve is what gets you to improve. Because I mean, when you're going into a local every week, you're only getting to reset your expectations. You're only getting to like watch, like look at these very difficulties every Monday. But let's just say you're playing a single player game like Guitar Hero. You can control how much you experience the game. You can control how much you practice. Like, so you can go ahead and you can fire up like a song on hard. You can play it 50
Slow
times.
Ride. Yeah. Take it easy.
Yeah, and after you've FC'd slow ride, dude, flow ride for Guitar Hero, dude. But yeah, once you've FC'd slow ride a billion times because it's so boring, you eventually get to Through the Fire and Flames, and you get to set this wonderful difficulty curve for yourself because it's a single player game. But the way you do that in Smash, the way you do that in a multiplayer game, is that, well, you could do quick play, but quick play is not that great. But you just go to more tournaments, you experience more, you go to more events, and you get humbled, you win, and you will eventually experience that. It's not going to be that perfect curve that you get to set, but the more games you play and the more experiences you have, it'll start resembling that curve.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we should. I mean, just briefly, I think we're about to wrap up this topic in a whole, but
yep.
I would like to share some travel tips. What should you focus on playing against new people? Um, Avi, let's just go rapid fire. I'll say one, you say one. Let's just think of what we can think of.
Sure.
One, I think a big thing is find out. Well, first of all, we'll start off easy. Introduce yourself to people. Do not be shy. Smashers are weirdos. There's nothing to fear. You're a weirdo. I know I'm a weirdo. AV, he's seen some things. Smashers are don't be nervous around smashers. They're the least judgy people, and they have no reason to judge. Trust me, because like I said, they're weirdos. So go around, introduce yourself, see who's who, what makes this scene tick, who are the players to watch out for. Challenge some people. Hey, you play Olimar, I play Olimar. $5. Let's see whose region is better. Just have some fun with it. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
Sure. Second thing is I would find character matchups you've never played before. Get information on matchups that you don't know about, and learn about all the ways that your character wins and all the ways that your character loses. That's probably a big one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I love that, because there's so many times where there's a guy at that region, or to keep it broad, in that online Discord or whatever your zone is. There's probably someone that plays a character that isn't common in your region. Like maybe there's some super sick Kirby that for some reason is dope. Okay, hey, please beat me out for 20 minutes. I never want to be surprised by a Kirby again. Let me play with you. Let me glean some of that knowledge. So I like that, AV. Yeah, I think maybe maybe just find out how that region communicates, whether it be Facebook or Discord. Get in cahoots with them so that you can reach out to some of those players in the future. Like for instance, in Smash 4, I was so fortunate to know 2 clouds from NorCal, one being Stark, one being Vaughn, formerly Vermilion, and I was kind of the cloud in the south doing things. And we the 3 of us use each other as resources very often. Because we built, a relationship based on a common character. Like, hey, I play this character too. Cool. Let's share notes. If you ever have any tips, please send them my way, vice versa. And it was fun. It was cool. We all were better as a part of this symbiotic relationship, and we made online connections with each other.
Yeah, that's a really cool one, because I definitely, whenever I go to new places and whenever I go to new local, or even when new people come to my local, I'm always looking for DK players. I'm looking for who plays DK, who can teach me things, who I can teach things. And it's definitely a really good way to not only improve yourself and to help other people improve, but it's to push your character's metagame. And honestly,
but it's also cool to have those kind of relationships that there's no relationship in life like the one you would have with a random guy who also plays your character in Smash Bros. It's it's so funny. There's nothing else like it. It's you don't even have to like each other, but it's hey, nice, bro, respect.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think that inviting people to your home region, telling people telling people to definitely adding them on quick play, and making sure that you connect with them after the tournament is really important, because keeping a really you already said that, didn't you?
No, I think it's good. I think it's fine to reiterate that. But man, I think that's all we got in terms of traveling. AV,
I don't know. I feel like we summed it up pretty well. Just get new experiences, and that, and honestly, just be surprise yourself.
Cool. Let's do some questions, AV. First one I'm going to throw at you is from Ollie Jolly, who you actually met a couple weeks ago at a tournament. How about, first, before I ask you Ollie Jolly's question, tell me what that was like. You guys met. He's a friend from the Discord. Was it cool to meet someone in real life from the BTM community? Yeah,
I've never met anyone in real life before, so it was...
I like to imagine AV's just plugged into his computer at home. He's hanging on the wall, tangled in his wires.
Yeah,
I like that DK.
That is pretty accurate, but not really, because I actually got out of the house, and it was awesome seeing was awesome seeing Ollie. He was a really cool dude. We played a bunch of friendlies. He got to see my DK playing tournament. Got to see a really hype win and a sort of hype loss. And it was really fun. Honestly, like whenever I get the chance to meet listeners of the podcast in person, I will absolutely jump on it. That being said, let's fire up this question. What are your experiences with smelly Smash players at tournaments? Any recommended brand of deodorant? I'll answer the second one. I'll give you the harder one.
Is that kind of a coincidence that he asked that right after meeting you at a tournament? I think that's damning, but
there's one thing. No, I'm not letting you interrupt me here, because there's one thing that I stand for, and that is hygiene. I will shower 3 times if I need to make sure that I'm hygienic. And I recommend Old Spice. Old Spice Fresh is the ultimate deodorant. Honestly, they should pay us, and I will say on this podcast, buy Old Spice Fresh over and over again.
I use Old Spice Swagger, so well done.
Okay.
Okay, let me say one thing about this smelly Smash players meme. We've never addressed it on the show. You and I are very positive about the Smash community as a whole. We're a very wholesome place in terms of how we regard the Smash community, and I think we do so very intentionally. And so we've never acknowledged this smelly Smash player meme.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, I hate it. I think it's so stupid. Like I see, like even like on Reddit threads and stuff, like people that don't even play Smash, like on the front page, will just be like some joke about gamers. They're like, "Oh, plug your noses, this guy that plays Smash Bros," and it gets like 10,000 upvotes. I'm like, "What? These guys have never been to a Smash tournament," and it does bother me. Maybe it shouldn't as much as it does. Here's the reality: nerds at nerd conventions, any sort of like Comic-Con, if you go to a Magic the Gathering tournament or like any sort of kind of fringy, nerdy activity, I hate to say it, 1 out of every 50 of those kind of people, and I mean, statistically speaking, AV, probably a lot of them are listening to this podcast. You know who you are. Nah, just kidding. Our listeners smell delicious, always. But my point is, it takes one bad apple to spoil the whole bunch. One smelly douchebag, can I say that word, AV? Can literally stink up an entire venue. And AV, the tournaments I've been to have not always been immune to that. We've had one group of dudes specifically. They were like brothers, I think. And I don't know what their situation was, but frankly, they smelled terrible. But, you know, that's just kind of the unfortunate price we pay to play, to do kind of a nerdy activity, frankly. I mean, it sucks. It sucks because like the 1% of the community can smell bad, and then it'll make the entire tournament smell horrible. I don't know what to do. I'm okay with them. Like, if we just start kicking them out, I'm okay with it. Like, you can only enter the venue if you smell good, right? Is that too harsh?
I don't know if you can immediately. I don't know. Think we should have like smell bouncers. That's a little weird. Like, I feel like there would be some invasion of personal space going on.
Yes,
but I do think that people who don't show proper hygiene should be given warnings and should be told to. And I think this is part of a TO's job. I don't know if TOs are the most unthanked people out there. I mean, you do receive thanks, and people do they do tell you you're doing an awesome job, but you have to do all of the weirdest stuff. You have to deal with all of these situations and all of these confrontational things that you never had to deal with before, and that includes telling people to smell better. It definitely does. I've done it before. I've actually done this before.
There's one guy at my tournaments who's a dear friend of mine. Love him. Total sweetie. Kind of a weird dude, but in a very good way. Everybody loves that he's weird. But one of his quirks is his feet always smell like garbage. And literally, I am not above saying, bro, clean your feet, you sick. I'm not going to say it. But yeah, no, in totality, I think that the Smash community gets a really bad rap for this. I think that like 1 out of every 50 people spell bad.
I think you're underselling it. I think there's a decent amount of people with poor hygiene in general, but honestly, it's not as bad as people make it out to be. It's not. It doesn't make going to locals it just like hell for people with asthma. It doesn't make you. You don't lose your oxygen supply. It won't distract you most of the time when you're playing.
Yes.
You'll be having fun. So if that's the thing that's stopping you from going to a Smash tournament, don't let that stop you. However, be the change you want to see in the
we should start handing out those little trees, those little like deodorizing like Christmas trees they hang on your like car mirror.
Dude, some of them smell terrible. Have you smelled black ice?
Actually,
like there's a flavor called black ice. It's like that
terrible. One AC/DC song.
No, it's terrible. Like the new car smell is good.
Yeah.
Like that's the top tier one.
Can I say something though? Every hobby I've ever had, like someone's smelly. Like if you go to a concert, if you go to if you play sports, you're gonna be smelling some weird stuff. People are just gross, I think. I don't know. I don't think Smash is disproportionately that bad. That's my last thing I'm gonna say.
I will say that no one in whiskey tasting or coffee tasting has ever smelled bad. So that is that. That is my experience. Maybe my hobbies will kind of lend towards different people, but
dude, I think I accidentally muted my mic, but I was cracking up the whole time. Last 20 seconds, so I'm sorry I cut out. Grims asks, what do you guys do to motivate yourselves to get back up on the horse after getting stomped at a tournament? Well, Grims, you have to assume that AV and I ever get stomped at a tournament. No, we don't.
Well, it happens to me. I don't know about you.
No. I've been stomped more times than I can count. AV, what's your take on this? I don't think you get stomped. You're kind of a god, but try to empathize for us mortals.
If I were to put myself in the mortal's shoes, I would say that every time that you lose, it just you just got beat by a better player. There's no way to really contextualize this other than make it a learning experience or just do the usual stuff that we say. Truth be told, there's no quick tip I can give you. There's no like I always say this, there's no Smash players hate him or hate her for saying some mind-blowing advice that will help you after getting stomped. The problem is that when you get stomped, like absolutely destroyed, you are playing someone that is so far out of your league. If you mean stomped by you played a really close game and it was a 1-2 set that you lost last stock, last hit, you didn't get stomped. So first of all, don't look at those games as being stomped and say, hey, this was really close. It's a game of inches. I only need to kind of do one more thing here and I would start winning some games. If you actually get stomped, you need to just reassess the people that you're playing with and you need to say it's okay. This person is so far ahead of me. This person has likely put in more time than me and be okay with that. That there's nothing that you can do if you just get absolutely destroyed.
Yes. And for the person that destroys you, be their homie. Don't kiss their ass. But if they stomp you after the tournament, after some of the friendly setups start opening, say, hey man, like let's play. I want to learn some stuff from you. I want to learn why I got stomped so hard. And you're a great player. It was fun playing. And unless they're just jerks. But yeah, talk to the girl or guy that beat you and try to learn. Obviously, they have a couple of lessons that they can give you if they're capable of stomping you. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say.
Yep, cool. Dave Wayne 09 says, what are your thoughts on the Smash Bros. Cinematic universe with the upcoming Detective Pikachu and the Who Must Not Be Named Speedy Blue Hedgehog movie and the Mario movie a long time ago? Also, there's a discussion of Zelda and Metroid. Would it be something that you want to see? What would the story be?
I think no. I think that no. I think video games in general, video game movies are. There's such a history of them being terrible that I think that there's like some like curse. That said, I think Detective Pikachu looks pretty good. I'm definitely gonna watch it, and I'll let you guys know my thoughts on it at a later time after seeing it. But dude, you know what? I'm down if they make like one baller Smash Bros. Movie where like
It's
all
not,
the
it's not gonna be
Nintendo.
baller. It's not. It's not.
Come
it's not
on,
baller.
if they
It's
pull
not.
it off, I don't think it will. I have low expectations, but if they make like a Super Smash Bros. Or like some sort of like Nintendo crossover movie where there's a lot of different, like cute little nods to, they just play the nostalgia play. I'll pay for a ticket. I'm down. I just, keep put that money and invest it into more games, and I think it'll be better spent.
Yeah, I wouldn't really want to see it. I mean, what would the story be? It'd be everyone fighting against Giga Bowser or Master Hand. I think there would be some kind of like cool, like there is a setup for an awesome like twist ending about what the hands actually are.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know like the World of Light story has its own like section of what the Master Hands and Crazy Hands are, but I feel like it could just be you just at the end of the movie it just ends and it's like the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz.
I also get this. I think it'd be cool if they did like a Netflix style, just long form television series for a Nintendo franchise. I think I'd rather have that than
that would be better. Honestly, TV shows are so superior in these kinds of things. Think about like the Avatar: The Last Airbender adaptation. They tried to fit an entire. Well, first of all, they made a billion mistakes, but one of the. There's so many mistakes, but one of the biggest mistakes is trying to fit a beautiful narrative crafted over 3 seasons with lots of side arcs and character development into one really terrible, shitty 1.5 hours. It's not happening. I don't care who you are. You can't do it.
But in terms of TV shows, I'd be okay with there being like, it'd be really fun is like an F-Zero over the top kind of like super ridiculous show where like Captain Falcon does his like some bounty hunting and espionage while like simultaneously putting on his front as a race car driver. I'd be down to watch that.
Yeah, I can see Captain Falcon in a suit going to casinos, being all James.
Or what
Bondish.
if they do like a Pokemon show where like a trainer tries to beat the Pokemon League and all that.
Huh, that would be a really good idea. Like, yeah.
Okay, right. Maybe we're out of time this week. Where can people find you, my friend?
You can find me at A Vaidyanatha. That's A Vaidyanatha. A plus my long Indian last name. If you don't want to figure out how that's spelled, you can find us at Beyond Metagame. Twitter left no room for the. So at Beyond Metagame. And where can people find you, Peon?
Avi, I say that. You really just swooped in there. That's what I say. But
that's too bad.
That said, well done. I think you delivered the line very well. You can find me, and this is, guys, we're mixing this one up, so pay close attention because I changed my Twitter tag, which means anyone that listens to old episodes will not be able to find me. They will not find me at P_GCE. That's Golf Charlie Echo. I will never say that again on the show. It's kind of sad, but I'm going to be saying something somewhat similar because we have Peon_BTM. That's right. Bravo, Tango, Mike. For all of you priests. And guys, you can find us at our Discord server, which will be linked in the show notes. It's on our website. It's in the YouTube description. It is growing every day, and there's some of the most friendly people in the world, I would say, are in that Discord. But for now, thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.